Here we are, episode 56 of the Countersin podcast. Welcome. My name is Harry Sermon, and I'm joined by my wonderful two co-hosts, as always, Mr. Matt Lacey.
Hi, Harry. Hi, Jamie. Good man. Hi, everyone.
Good evening. And Jamie Joyner as well.
Hello. Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Jay.
We're back. We're tired. We've had a busy couple of days, busy week, busy weekend since our last episode. We've dare I say, travelled the globe. Nearly. A few parts of it. A few more miles than normal.
Yeah.
Jay's been up and around London, jazzing his way through the busy streets. Matt's been up and down the M5, bluesing, shuffling his way. And I've been at a wedding in Italy. It's been all exciting.
They didn't escape all of the function tunes while you're out there, right? You were listening.
I literally heard
you're on the other side of the kit.
Yeah, nothing but the function tunes. Superstition, signed, sealed, delivered. Angels, Robbie Williams, just all the songs.
Oh, the classics.
You could honestly go the rest of your life never hearing again.
Were they sung in English or were they an Italian function?
Oh no, they were played on the DJ.
So it was the DJ?
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was all the originals,
Oh, okay.
Well,
yeah. So
if you
we did actually have a few. We had a solo singer with backing tracks. She sang quite a lot of tunes. She was very good. And then we had an Italian little acoustic guitar, violin, accordion thing for a few Italian classics. That's Amore, and that sort of stuff. All good vibes. But yeah, we've all been busy. We're here, episode 56. We're talking about social media. Slight sort of vagueness to this topic, but I think once we get into it, I think, Jay, maybe you could kind of explain how we landed on this. We want to talk about, our use of social media, what we maybe find important in our social media, what are we prioritizing, how are we creating content, are we purposefully creating content, what do we think matters in terms of social media, do we think a website is part of that as well? Lots of kind of stuff to get into. We don't really have anything new this week to discuss, I don't think, off the top of our head. So we're gonna bypass that this week, and maybe next time there might be something new. So we're moving at 100 miles an hour. Jay, talk to us about where this came from, this sort of idea of social media and its importance, and we'll get into it.
Yeah, well, I think this kind of came about a little while back when I dropped a voice note on our chat just because I'd been, I don't know if you guys do this as well, but every now and again you go through some of your profiles and you're like, oh, I need to swap out a profile picture or just make sure that my bio still makes sense or whatever. And I was doing that for a few different sort of bits of the internet that I have drum stuff on. And, for me, that is mostly Instagram, a Facebook musicians page, YouTube, and a website. So I was kind of going through them, just giving them a little cleanup. And then I was kind of doing the Facebook musicians page, and I was like, I feel like I link my Instagram with this, and stuff gets posted, but I don't really feel like that it's doing much. As a page on Facebook, because obviously you have your personal page, and then you have a musician's one, or at least I do. And I know that I think both of you do as well. Have separate pages. So yeah, I was kind of thinking, what's the point in doing this? Is there a point? What role does Facebook play in work or in pushing out any sort of playing or content or anything like that? How important is it in the overall picture? And yeah, I just kind of remember dropping that on the chat, and us all kind of feeling, at least in terms of Facebook, I feel like we're all on a similar sort of page as to where we feel it is with things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just wondering, let's say the Facebook page, the musicians page. What are your thoughts on that, of having one? Do you think as a drummer you need one? Do you use it much? Do you maintain it? Do you specifically post to it? What are your thoughts on the musicians page?
Go for it, Matt.
Okay,
him.
thanks, Hay. Yeah, well, I think I replied to your message, didn't I, Jay? Saying I'd just been gone through exactly the same thing. It's like, well, I've just connected with a couple of new musicians that I bumped into, and I played at a jam session with them, and they wanted to connect and take my phone number and WhatsApp and email address, and I connected with them on Facebook, and I realised, a lot of the guys I've mates with or friends with or have played with, whatever you call it, they've probably got their Facebook, not their page, but their personal profile. I mean, I've got some guys and girls that I know on there that have got maybe 3,500, 4,000 friends, in quotations, friends, contacts, whatever you want to call it. And that's, them as a musician, they put everything on their profile. It defines them in terms of this is what I do. And a lot of their posts are music related, gig related, and they put it out to their network of 4,000 people, friends, and it really got me thinking about, well, I've got a page now. I don't know what happened. I think I had to reset my password at one point, or something happened where my Instagram is now not linked to my Facebook page. So when I do post, it's kind of, I have to do it specifically separately. And I've got about 260 followers on my Facebook page, Matt Lacey Drummer. That as just my drum page. And I originally set it up because I thought I don't want to be bothering my mates, anyone who follows me on my profile, as a friend, with kind of, oh, look, here's this, because it was linked to my Instagram. Here's me playing this thing, or here's me teaching in a school, or here's a triple paradiddle. They don't need to see all that.
Yeah, sure.
But now it's separate. I'm kind of like, well, shall I post this? And because the engagement is not great, and there's a few people who follow me who engage because they're also friends and they are drummers, so they follow my page, maybe like it, but I don't get the engagement with it, and it feels like a different audience. So I was going through the same thing, Jay. I was like, well, I don't want to just delete the page. I still want it sitting there, but maybe I should start putting everything out through my normal profile.
Yeah.
And if people like it, great. If they don't, they're not into music, or they're not a musician, but they like it and they support me, great. And actually, because I've been promoting a lot of gigs recently, there's no point me putting that on my drummers page, because no one that I know around here, around where I live, or my friends, in quotations, are going to see it. So I've been putting that all on my profile, and it was starting to question whether I actually need to use my musicians page at all. I have a YouTube channel and website as yourself, Jay, and that's where I tend to push most of the content.
No, I think I probably agree with that, and be interested to see how you feel about it as well, Harry. But I think just to kind of touch on what you were saying there, Matt, like on the flip side, if you think about quite often certainly what I use Facebook a lot for is like groups and sort of musicians pages and things like that. If you've gigged with someone and your friend on Facebook, you do that. You add each other on Facebook, like personal. You don't go follow each other's pages. And then when a gig comes up, maybe it's like drummer needed for this, that, and the other, and your friend sees it, they go, "Oh, I'm going to tag you," and they tag you, they tag your page, like your personal profile page, rather than your musician's page. Generally, that's what I've found anyway. So just with that, like the lines get blurred like immediately, because there's kind of like the default is for people to just tag like the standard page rather than the musician's page. If that makes sense. So kind of it's a bit like, well, what's the point of the musician's page at that point?
Because I found I've been tagged in stuff by my name using my profile, but I've said, well, thanks for tagging me, and then I've commented, if you want to get in touch, please message me via my page, and then I've tagged my own page in it, because I'm quite keen that whoever's looking for a drummer sees my page and go, oh, this guy's full time. You know what I mean? Just from a perspective of, oh, this guy might be available because he does it for a living. He's not working around 9 to 5 or 4, whatever it might be. So I try to use that to do that as an emphasis. But
Interesting. Yeah.
I mean, Harry, what's your page set up? Because I think yours says, is it Harry Sermon freelance drummer? You got a specific name?
Yeah,
for
which
it?
I really regret, to be honest, and you can't change it.
Really?
I don't really know why I put that. It makes it's I understand if you're like a photographer or whatever, but I think drum wise it doesn't really make any sense. So I don't like that at all. But I can't do anything about it annoyingly.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, not to contradict myself a little bit, I literally about 2 hours ago did share my latest video post, a YouTube link to it, just because I think the last 5 posts have not got anything from it. I don't use my personal Facebook. I agree with you, Jay. Like, my personal Facebook has got, images of me playing drums. I think my profile picture is me in the studio, and I think like my header photos of me outside Electric Lady or whatever. And like it's pretty much, I think I've changed my profile picture maybe like 3 times in the last 5-6 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But I rarely use Facebook at all to post anything. I use it to, Facebook Marketplace. That's the only thing I sort of browse occasionally and buy and sell groups.
We know you keep sending us links. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very lethal. I like to browse that from time to time. But it's Messenger, isn't it? Like you said, Jay, you connect with people that you gig with, and that's how I'm sure we'll come onto the work side of things. But that's where work, for me at least, comes from. If they haven't got my number, but they've gigged with me, or they don't follow me on Instagram and so on, it's Facebook Messenger. But yeah, my Facebook page I'm not putting any effort into it. I think, like you said, Matt, the interaction on it is rubbish. The interaction on Facebook in general is poor. It's a bit of a dying social media anyway. I think people keep it just because they've got so many people on there, and the Messenger side of things and the marketplace side of things. I think that's all that people use it for. But
similar to you, I've shared, like, because I'm posting to YouTube like full length songs, so my long form content, whatever you want to call it. I'm posting I'm trying to be better at posting regularly to YouTube, but then I will share the link on my page.
Yeah.
But then I've invariably found myself, I'll share my page to my profile. But why not I just share the link directly to my profile?
I think the main sort of turning point for me is I've never really been a big sort of Facebook poster anyway. But I think the turning sort of point for me was just like, there's a few people in my family that are just constantly, instead of sending stuff to me, they just post it on my wall. So my wall was just constantly covered in all these links. So anything I post never gets seen because it's slogged behind so much stuff.
I have a couple.
So I was just like, I'm just not going to bother. Like, there's no point.
It makes me laugh. I have a couple of mates, jazzers I play with, who I don't think they quite get, because they are of a certain age where they don't get the concept of sending something directly to someone, as opposed to, I've sent it to him, posted it on my wall. Basically, you've just published it to the internet and tagged me. That's what you've done. And they don't. It's kind of, it's all a bit. I've sent you a message, but everyone can read it. It's a bit weird.
I think we're probably all on the same page then. No, sorry. I was going to say, I think we're all on the similar sort of page in viewing that, like, posting on Facebook, whether that be on like your personal profile or your musician's page, it's not really doing much. Like, there's not that much engagement, or and if anything, it's going to be like your friends seeing it and they're like, oh, look, another drum video. I'm constantly thinking, oh, look, your friends must be there going, oh, Jamie's playing his drums again. Like that's literally what I feel like it must be if I'm posting to, like, people that I've been friends with for 20 plus years or whatever on Facebook. It feels like for a sort of putting out promotional stuff like videos and things, it doesn't feel like it's really doing much. But on the flip side, like you were saying, Harry, I think getting work weirdly kind of comes through the groups and through Messenger
personal Facebook,
and all of that. Personal Facebook.
But
I don't think that's impacted by whether you post on it or not. Like, in a weird way.
No.
Like if people want to see you
as long as
play,
you're making the connections.
yeah, if people want to see you play, they'd go and check out your Instagram or your YouTube generally.
Yeah.
I don't think people check you out on Facebook unless they want to like message you or or quite often it's see who you've got mutual friends in common or something like that.
Yeah,
That's kind of
100%.
the best.
It's interesting you say that, Jay, because playing quite a bit of jazz, most of the jazz players I play with don't have Instagram. They are Facebook only.
Yeah.
And because it's again, they're either retired or been pro, but they've been around a bit, and they don't do Instagram. They join Facebook.
Do you think that's a generational thing though? Like
honestly, I think
when you get sort of a certain age, like you can do Facebook, or like it's been around. They've been on Facebook for that amount of time, and like Facebook, I guess, has largely stayed the same. So you just adapt to it. I think people, that's the one that people kind of adapt to.
I was at this festival in the Dart Music Festival down in Dartmouth this weekend playing, and it's predominantly jazz, blues, and folk. Easy for me to say. It's not. There's no rock bands. It's not pop. It's of those kind of genres. And because we in my band, we're kind of tagging them in posts and say we're trying to promote ourselves going down there. And I looked on Instagram, and they've got about 1,700 followers on Instagram. The music festival this is. But on Facebook, they've got over 5,000. Wow, again, right. Because of that generational thing. And I look at the people who are around and about playing and going to these gigs over the weekend, because it was venues Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Sure.
Generationally, you can see, these are Facebook users. They're not Instagram users generally. So, but contemporary, I think this is the last generation that will be like that. I think now as one generation above us and below, I think Instagram is, far stronger. People are dialed into it to a far greater depth than previously. So I think that will shift. But it's interesting in terms of the demographic, the genre, people you're playing with. I know the age. Let's be honest, it's a different literally network, I guess, isn't it?
So what's the social media priority then for you guys now? If you're wanting to, I mean, we don't have to go necessarily deeper into that, but if you're going to plan to make content, or if you're trying to push to make a more specific, vibe of content, or creating something specific for social media, like a drum head, like unboxing / retune your snare video, or like a quick lesson like we've all done, on the page and so on, or footage from a studio, etc. What is the platform that you guys are prioritizing? For me is Instagram has always been the sort of number one, the sort of the drumming journal. I can look back and just look through my progression, or the gigs and so on that I've done, that I posted about, with personal stuff sprinkled in. I thought about having a personal page. I know you've got a personal page, Jay, but all my friends and so on are just all on my, all of my circle is on my, my Instagram. Friends, close friends, school friends, family friends, musician friends, gigging professionals, etc. People, in the industry, etc. For me, it's Instagram. I'm making stuff for Instagram, but it's kind of shifted a little bit in terms of the longer form content of YouTube. So I've always had my YouTube as well. Done a lot of shorts. My YouTube has grown massively from shorts, but also over the last year or two, I've started to do longer form, more stylized ish with limitations, more like not curated. What's the word? Like more specific kind of long form stuff. To try and get the YouTube growing. I really want to get to 500 subs. I'm not far off.
Nice.
But it's sort of like I can put just that on Instagram, or I can do the long version and get a few Instagram clips and a few shorts and kind of spread it over the two. But for me, Instagram is, if you had to pick one, what's your calling card? I would send people to the Instagram. I connect with people on the Instagram for me. What about you guys?
Yeah. So do you want to go, Matt? Or?
Yeah, it's the same. What I would say, Sarah, you are, and I wouldn't say need, but I really could be better at the YouTube shorts. If I make a reel and I'm not automatically pushing it into YouTube, I do long form content on YouTube, but my initial thoughts are I'm making it for Instagram. Unless it's not, I'm not going to put a 3 minute video on Instagram, 4 minute video or whatever, reel or as a post. I don't know which way around. The time limitations are now, but I will put. I work to. I guess what I'm doing now, unless it's a story, it's quick fire stuff that I'm putting up. Like, oh, I loaded the car for a gig, or this is the setup, and I put a couple of pictures up from my setup this weekend. Or I'll share them as a story. My long form content, I normally try and organise that to go live every week. Because again, Harry, I'm looking to try and be more consistent to boost my followers on there. But I don't necessarily convert that into a YouTube short. I'll snip it and I'll put a 1 minute reel on Instagram with a link to my YouTube channel. So I'm almost now, I guess, certainly with a lot, I'm using the Instagram to funnel people to YouTube.
Yeah,
Sure.
For the reels, unless it's me just soloing in the studio, or it's, I don't know, I'm trying to think of some of the stuff, but or photos of, I've just put a couple of photos up, or photo up when I did a depth gig and I got a great review. So I've made a point of making a post about that.
Yeah.
With a quote from the review, because it's like literally a calling card, So
I found a thing interesting though, which has kind of changed my mindset a little bit. But I read somewhere and then heard it in a podcast that to maximize your growth on a YouTube channel, you want to pick one or the other, which I think is really interesting because I most of my shorts would get at least 1,500 views almost every time, most of them. But my YouTube has been very particular. I did a cover about a year ago and it's got over 2,000 views. Then the video I did after that got 80. And then 2 videos after that I got 1,000. And then it was like a couple of hundred, and then 150, and then so on. And then the video I posted yesterday, the reel got 1,500 views in 2 hours. Nice. And then the YouTubers got 2 views. So
when you say pick between one or the other, you mean to a long form or short?
Long form or short. So either just long videos, 3, 4, and so on minutes, or just do shorts and don't post long form stuff.
Wow.
Because basically the algorithm will favor your channel as one, whereas if you're sort of doing both, it kind of doesn't really know where to push you. I think also I'd read something about that your tags in your video are really important because that embeds it to Google, because obviously YouTube is owned by Google, and that will help your search even better. Okay. So if you're kind of, being specific with how you're tagging things in the add tags bit, it will favor. If you were to type in, for example, let's just say on the topic of the videos you guys posted earlier, Chuck Berry swing groove. If you were to add that into your thing, straight swung drumming, etc., that could be something that someone is Googling, and then it could come up as a YouTube recommendation, and you might maybe get some traction through there. How true that is, I don't know, because I've tried to do it a little bit and not really seen anything. I kind of tested the waters a little bit. I usually post pretty much covers. I posted like a 40. This is another thing as well. I've noticed that, and it kind of makes sense, reels and YouTube shorts that I've done that are actually shorter than 45 seconds have almost always done better than doing the full minute. So I've now almost cropped out a minute clip and then on my phone cropped it again. Almost like cut it either side, taking the first 10 seconds out and the last 10 seconds and so on.
Right, yeah.
And then I did another video. I think I did a cover that got like 100 views or whatever. It was like standard, that's fine.
Yeah.
And then I put an extended clip of that groove that I put on Instagram that same day, and it got 350 views as an actual YouTube video. And I was like, that's really, really strange. It's got like 6 or 7 comments or so on. Did the same thing a week later, because again, I'm very much the same as you, Matt. I've been consistently posting something every 4 or 5 days, whether it be a short and so on, for the last year or two. and it got like 150.
Yeah,
And then I thought I got loads of videos from my last Bee Gees gig. I did the whole 10-minute intro. I'll whack that on. Never done a 10-minute video before, and it's got I think about 100 views.
Yeah.
I was like,
Apologies if I look distracted then, because while you were talking, Harry, it occurred to me that I have put a video up on YouTube today, and I've put a 1-minute version reel up on Instagram within the same half hour.
Yeah.
So within 7 hours, like the YouTube video has had 1 view, which wasn't me, and like the reel has had 235, which is standard, but it's that. I mean, so then I don't check the numbers necessarily on YouTube a lot, but I found some videos have gone, oh, that's had 17, 20, 30, 40, 50 views in the first day, which is unheard of. And now, let's be fair, YouTube are classing a view as anything over 4 seconds or whatever. No one sat there and watched 4 or 5 minutes. But I find the YouTube stuff is a much slower burner because it's just out 100%. There doing its thing, and you're not looking for engagement, and people will come to it if they come to it.
Well, funnily enough, I posted a short probably about 2 or 3 years ago. I did like 3 different ones of my different snares at the time, and I did the Superlight one, and that still to this day gets like 50 odd views a day. One of my people that I work with on my team was like, oh, I saw your video about your Ludwig Superlight, by the way. It sounds amazing. I bought one. I was like, that video's 3 years old. Nice. Like, what is the chances of you seeing that? So it makes absolutely no sense. The one thing I've consistently seen is subscribers have gone up pretty regularly, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
I've had my YouTube channel for like probably 10 odd years, if not more, and was stuck at like 120 subs for probably 8 of those years. And yeah, I'm now on like 440 or whatever, and it's regularly going up. Once I hit that shorts, that really sent everything up.
Yeah, right.
But it's really interesting. Anyway, Jay, let's hear your. I realised I asked a question to both of you.
I think this is all really interesting. Like hearing some of like your experience. Like you guys have been working on your YouTube. Like Harry, you're saying you've been working on it for like years and years. It's not really something I've done all that much. Like I've probably had my YouTube for like probably similar amount of time, like 10 plus years now.
Yeah.
And I used to chuck up some like really awful drum covers when, I was kind of at uni and stuff. And a couple of them got quite a lot of views and whatever, but I've taken most of them down now. And then I did like a bunch of playthroughs for like a bunch of rock school syllabus. I did like all of grades 1 to 5 back in like 2018 or something, and just put them all up there. And nice. They're kind of good. Like just, I get sort of similar what you were saying, like just over a period of time, just like regular views and comments as like people learn them and watch them played and that sort of stuff. So you kind of had that there. I've always kind of used it as more of maybe like an educational thing. Like I did a Harry Styles song playthrough for a student and transcribed the whole song, and they wanted to see it played. So I filmed myself playing the whole of the transcription. And then I was like, I'm just going to put that on YouTube. And that got loads of views. And maybe it was the buzzword of Harry Styles or whatever. But it was like I wasn't really like, consistently posting or, trying to do that all the time. I never really have been. I think maybe I can't remember if it's Mike and Idiot say it, but the sort of like make content for what you consume, like wherever you consume most, like you should, make content for that. And I've never really. I don't spend hours and hours on YouTube. I don't, I watch stuff on it, but very rarely do I actually watch a lot of drum stuff on it. Occasionally, maybe, but I tend to watch other, like, I don't know, tech related stuff or like movie related stuff. Like it's all of that, or coffee stuff as well. Just kind of all the kind of like my own hobbies sort of thing. Whereas with drums, like that in my brain, always kind of lives and breathes on Instagram mostly. So that's kind of where I've naturally put my focus is Instagram. And that kind of like what you were saying as well, Harry, with the kind of being able to look back and see your progress and be like, oh, I did that gig in that year, or, oh, that was when I was really into that sort of setup, or, I had that symbol or whatever. Yeah. I love that. It's almost like a little log of your journey and your progression. And
that's always what I thought of it as.
Yeah. And that's how I view Instagram and social media in general, to be honest, is like, I get the thrill out of creating something and having it exist, and it's I get the thrill as soon as it's done. The numbers that come with it after that, I rarely care. You know, if they're a bit abnormal, I'll be like, that's interesting. But in general, I don't really worry about it. I'm more kind of, I get that creative buzz of just
100%.
having made something. So I often find myself being like, I'll post something that maybe I've been kind of sitting on for a while, or I've been meaning to post about, or maybe I'm annoyed because I haven't posted about this thing that happened like a week ago, and I want to post it because like this is happening now, and I've got other things coming up, and in my head I just want to like almost like mark the end of that like gig, that period, and then I can focus on other stuff. And so that's generally how I view Instagram, and I like having social media like that in my head. But YouTube has never been one that I've managed to kind of stick with. I think maybe because I don't consume a lot of long form content in general. You know, sure. I don't really do that. But I also view YouTube as quite educational, and I'll go there to learn something or to sit through if it is drum related, it would be like a review or simple sounds, or you know, maybe sit and watch a set of a band or something like that. But yeah, I wouldn't watch like, I don't know, like Instagram style stuff on YouTube. You know, I'd just be like, just down Instagram.
I watch a lot of interviews, musician interviews, long form interviews, like hours,
live sets and whatnot.
100%. Yeah, but it's interesting because
Mike Malone, friend of the podcast.
Yeah, Mike Malone stuff. Yeah,
videos.
And but I found myself sometimes people bring stuff out so regularly. I'm like, I've not watched what they released 2 days ago, or you know, I've got to. I mean, it's like I'm a subscriber to the Rick Beato YouTube channel, along with another 5 million people, and he's getting a good check every month, hasn't he? And I'm like, I'm still like not finished an interview that I started with on his channel, like, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, and he's brought out and he's really on it with terms of his reels and his snippets, and he's obviously driving a lot of content. And I again, I think I fell into the trap. Jay, you talk about numbers and kind of interactions. I am working specifically, or certainly trying to be super mindful to not be worried about the likes. Because I had a random video that did 16,000 views or something and got 200 likes, you know, the short reel I put up. And I'm like, I see, I've cracked the code, you know, and then next week, 4, you know. Yeah. But I think it's, for me, I'm trying to view my Instagram now is kind of a CV. So if there's anyone's going to be interested in working with me, they want to scroll through and go, he does this, he does that, he plays like that, I could do that. It's no point. It doesn't matter if 1,000 non-musicians like it. They might not even know what you're doing or why you're doing it, or maybe they're a mate and they've just liked it and they don't really get it, but they're supporting you. They've watched let's be fair, scroll, it's Matt, double click, move on. They don't even know what I've done, you know. It's all right getting 1,000 likes of people who aren't going to contact you for a gig, but actually you want 3 people to watch it who might get in touch with you because they want to work with you. And I've been working with Emily Dolan Davis, because I'm on her mentorship program, and through our conversations, and it wouldn't be fair for me to go into the nitty-gritty of what we've spoken about, because that's for her to work with people on, and everyone's going to need a different set of advice, you know, but I've certainly tried to I've turned a corner in terms of how I'm thinking about it, not getting hung up on being paralyzed by my perfectionism on stuff, and also drive some consistency. So I set myself some targets in terms of how many times I'm posting, but not posting for the sake of posting. Like sometimes I go through my stories and go, here's a memory from 5 years ago. Is it relevant? Did it get good engagement at the time? so what? Here's another setup. This is a gig I played 5 years ago. This is my setup. Is that really, I know it keeps you in the stories thread, as it were. But I'm quite conscious. You talk about your numbers, Harry, for YouTube. I've not been doing YouTube that long, and I think in the last year actually, I've gone from like 42 to 65 subscribers, which from percentage terms is quite a jump. No, that's me. Nice. That's my PR PR on it. But I don't think it's ever going to get. I'd love it to get over 100, 200 or whatever. But I am quite keen to get my Instagram followers. It's been a long day, everyone. Up. I think I'm about 260 at the minute. But it would be great if I could get to 1,000. I'd like to hit 1,000 followers on Instagram. But it's the quality of followers that is the key in terms of the relevance of them to what you're doing.
100%.
Great. I've had a few new followers, but I'm wondering to see if I can be more consistent with Instagram. That will in itself, like your YouTube has, Harry, drive people following. So I'd be interested to see how that goes in the next 3 or 4, 5
question
the rest of the year.
For both of you. Then, like, do you have a goal? Like, for you, Matt, say you reached 1,000 followers, that would be a really cool milestone. But would there be any difference? What would the difference be if it was 1,000 or if it was 2,000?
Great question.
Is there something you're looking for because of those, like within those numbers, or is it something else? Something a little bit more meta.
Harry,
I don't know,
Harry,
like growing followers for the sake of growing followers. I don't know.
Yeah, great question. Harry, do you want to go first, or I can?
Yeah. I don't think so. I don't really think of it like that as such. I think I'm only posting stuff that I think is cool and that I like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's almost like making a record or an album. Like, no one's going to listen to your song as much as you are before it comes out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, when you mix and create a song, you've heard it so many times that when it comes out, you listen to it a few times. Oh yeah, it's cool. It's out. Never again, really.
No.
You're not. And the same with like making a socials post. I don't know if you guys are the same. Maybe I'm just a bit weird, but I'll watch it and then I'll watch it again, and then I'll go make up tea and I'll watch it again a little bit, or I'll just like and after we answer this, I'd like to ask a question about editing and so on. But I think I said about getting 500 subs. That basically unlocks monetization. You can do it for 1,000, but 500 also does. And I was like, cool, I'm not that far away. I'm like 60 off. That's pretty good. But you need 500 subs and one of the two following things. In fact, I'll read it to you right now because it is ridiculous. So it is, have you guys got the YouTube Studio app? It's very good.
I've got the studio. I think I do it on my Mac. I don't think I've got the app.
So, so it says 500 subs, 3 uploads every 90 days, something like that. So I've got 437, so not far off at all. And one of the following: 3,000 public watch hours, or 3 million public short views. Currently, I'm on 83 valid public watch hours and 9.9k short views.
Okay. Wow. Right. Those are big numbers to hit, aren't they?
Or you can get 1,000 subs and get 4,000 public watch hours, or 10 million.
It's basically testing the loyalty of your subscribers, isn't it?
Yep.
Like, it's
like you were saying,
a
Matt,
high
about
percentage
people...
of your subscribers engaging with your thing, and it's not just randomers randomly doing it at random times as a one-off.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, all my comments are people that because you can now see actually who subscribes to you on YouTube. All of them are people that don't, or I again have no idea. You go on the channel, they've got nothing on there, no videos,
anonymous
nothing.
users, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same with Instagram. Like, I think I'm at like 1,700-ish odd followers or whatever. and my average views is probably, it used to be like a minimum 5,000 pre algorithm mess up, and then like I'll do like out of maybe, thinking of the grid, like nine reels, and 3 maybe 4 of them will get 1,000 at most, and then on average it's like 800 views, 600 maybe. And most of them, it's like you said, Matt, about likes, it's like 25, 30 likes maximum. You do a post, like a collage post or whatever, you're like 50 odd likes, but that doesn't translate to real view, you know, all that sort of stuff.
So you're saying, like, with the YouTube then, monetization, I guess, is the goal in that situation.
Monetization would be cool. A friend of mine about a year ago was like, I'm going in all in on it, and it's very slow, and he's I think at the beginning of this year he cracked 1,000 subs. Now he's cracked 2,000. I believe he's able to monetize now. His views are sort of average 3,000-4,000. He's had like a bit of a rebrand. It's a very sort of specific channel. I think it's called Loop with Jack. It's about this app called Loopy Pro and so on. Really great stuff. So he's like clearly just gone all in, you know.
There's like a tipping point with for the subs, isn't there, or the followers? Or sorry to cut across, H.
No,
To your question, Jay, I think it's a really interesting question around what's the end goal. 1,000. I guess I'm feeling like that there might be a snowball effect once we get over a certain amount of followers on Instagram. Interestingly, most of the reels that I put up, all stories actually, that get a lot of views, that there's generally, when I've looked at the insights, it's more non-followers than followers.
Right.
So that have engaged or liked or who's seen it, or whose screen has it been on. But in terms of the end goals, it's a great question. I think the likes thing, if I'm going to be really honest, I think there's a kind of, maybe there's a bit of me, like kind of the validation thing, quite honestly, in terms of, you know, there's enough people out there, 1,000 people out there, assuming they're all genuine accounts, that kind of like what I'm doing and want to follow. I guess it's interesting because I sometimes see people, you know, announcing they've got endorsements with, you know, or it's a company collaborating with another, you know, profile who they, you know, using their sticks or whatever. And I don't know who that is. I'll go and I might follow the company, don't follow the person, look at the person, so go, they've not, look at their content and go, they're not doing anything I'm not doing. And they don't have 10, 12, 15, 20,000 followers. They've got, you know, 800, you know, and it's like, I wonder how have they got to there? And I'm being really honest, I think that's kind of, you know, that comparison is the thief of joy, isn't it? It's that, well, if it's a numbers game, which is what the companies are looking at, as a company, you know, companies are looking at the numbers. What is that person doing? That, let's be fair, Jamie, Harry, myself. What are we doing? You know, what are they doing that we're not? You know, in terms of the content, in terms of the numbers, in terms of the consistency. So, I guess, Jay, to answer your question, I'm being a little, you know, I've got to hold myself up to the mirror, looking in the mirror a little bit, and go, well, maybe it's just me wanting to kind of have a bit more validation from the system, which is really wrong. And I'm being, you know, let's count this as a group therapy session to everyone listening. So maybe it's a bit of that, and maybe it's just wanting to know that people are interested in what I'm putting out, and maybe there's a little bit of the tipping point, and hopefully, if the number builds, it will start to kind of gain a momentum of its own. But if only 4% of my, or 10% most of my followers are seeing my content, then that's irrelevant anyway, I guess. You know, it's
so you're saying, like, I guess there as well, you mentioned like endorsements and stuff. Like, would that be something you'd maybe want, you know, or kind of consider as a tick mark to success? Sorry, I know these are quite deep questions, I guess, but
I feel like I should be lying on a couch, James. You know?
Talk about your childhood next.
Yeah. Oh God, no, we'll be all night, and we'd lose all of our subscribers. It's what? Well, this is a very different question. I mean, I think if you want to get endorsed, be endorsed by companies that you want to buy. You spend your money on already.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
It's and really what an endorsement is we're going to say we'd like you to buy our stuff. We're going to give you a discount, but you can only ever buy our stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so you've just shut the market down for whatever thing it is, sticks, heads. You've now closed the whole of the market off to buy. And because you're endorser, now you need to buy some new stuff. So I think it's a great thing. I think it shows that people a company have got willing to kind of put their name to you as a person, as a player, as a brand, whatever.
Yeah.
If someone, if people came to me and said, hey, Matt, we really like what you're doing, and we've seen you do this, this, and this. We'd like you to try our products out. Fine, but unless I'm really kind of have I spent money on these products before from this brand, I'd like to think that I'd kind of stick to my guns and I'm not interested.
So you'd want an endorsement from a company that you believe in, you play,
exactly.
you've invested in, and so on.
So
but
so to bring
it's
it back,
kind of like
I don't think
that would be a dream. That would be the dream. That would be the goal. Would be to have
but
that
does it
from
make,
I don't know Sabian or someone.
But does it make me a better player? And I would like to be getting the calls from people who are higher up in the industry. Matt, we really want you to come and play with us.
Right.
Matt, we love what you do. I think that's actually, as a player, I think that's going to be more satisfying than going, oh yeah, I'm endorsed by this company. As I said in the last episode, I dep for a band who have had dep drummers with endorsements and they can't swing.
Yeah.
They can't play shuffle. So I think that we've got to be really careful around that, because it somehow alludes to an element of hierarchy and ability when it doesn't always mean that.
I think I would add in that, I think I don't really have a goal with social media as such. I think I just want it to maintain as a sort of stamp book, as it were. But as long as there's progress and sort of growth, as it were, to answer that question, would I like an endorsement? Yes, but no. I'm not really fussed. It wouldn't change what I like to play. I would say yes because I would like to be associated with whatever company, and it would be cool to have my name on that list. I think for me that is the only thing that would be like a selling point to an endorsement. It wouldn't take for example, like Veta, for example. We just picked like Sticks, for example. I would be well up for being endorsed. I would jump at the chance to be. Would it make me a better player? Probably not. Would it make me more connected? Probably not. But it would be really cool. And like you said, Matt, like a sense of validation of being like, my name is like on the same list as like Josh Freese and Alon Rubin and like all these players that I love, and Chad Smith and so on. I'm associated with the same company.
Brand. Yeah.
That would be like a huge achievement.
Very cool. Yeah.
Even if I got 2.5% off and was only allowed to order,
it doesn't matter. It's not about the money side of it, is it?
Doesn't matter. Yeah. That would be so super cool. Is it going to change the game? Absolutely not. No. Might give me a bit of confidence boost and be like, oh, this is pretty cool. But apart from that, that would be a sense of validation for myself and for nothing else, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Jay?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I think Harry, you had a question you were going to ask, but no, it's okay. I just
let's hear Jay's answer, and then I'll wrap up with this final question for social media and so on.
Yeah, no, cool.
What do you think, Jay?
No, I kind of relate a lot to what you're talking about, Harry, with the like stamp book type vibe. Like for me, it's always been about that, and I think maybe I've seen Instagram change so much, like social media change so much over the time I've had it, and there's part of me that just wants to rebel and not play the numbers game. Like excuse me, I've like ages ago I made a point of trying to like post consistently, like almost every day, just putting out stuff, and it just became like this all-consuming thing that if I hadn't done it, I was like, oh man, this sucks, I'm gonna lose momentum and everything like that. And it just became like something I was thinking about all the time. And what were the numbers like? And, I was like scheduling time in my day to be like, right, this is when I'm going to film it. This is when I'm going to edit it. This is when I'm going to think about the caption. And then I'm going to research the best hashtags that are possibly using at the moment. Like all of these things, making sure that I'm like, I almost schedule time to go in and just like people's, like engage on people's posts and people that are making similar content to mine, so that there was like a engagement, a sense of community, and sort of like just brushing shoulders with like-minded people and content creators. I was trying to do that, and I saw like a slow build in following on my account, but I couldn't sustain it. It was just exhausting. And it kind of feels this, and like when social media becomes exhausting, I'm like, I don't want to give it this much time for what benefit, a few extra followers. Even if I got an extra 1,000 followers, most thing it would do is give me a little confidence boost. It's not going to put loads of money in my bank. It's not going to change an awful lot. It will make me maybe feel a little bit better, like we've kind of been talking about. You get that sort of validation of like, oh, maybe people are interested. But I don't know. These days, I'm like, I look at the engagement on some of my posts. I don't watch it a lot, but I look at it. I'm like, okay, like 80% of people that are liking and engaging on this are my followers, and I'm like, I'm really happy with that. Like that, it's not just a random person on the internet being like, oh, drum video, double tap. It's people that follow me, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of what I wanted. And when I put out a genuine question, or please engage with this, I'm seeing a few people comment, and that's kind of what I wanted out of social media. So even though the numbers aren't massive, I'd rather it be a small pool of people that care about what I'm posting about, and that I can talk to. So the goal was never like monetization or something like that. It all just seems like, unless you invest, like you were saying your friend does, Harry, like, and you're doing a big old rebrand and you're kind of really pushing it, and you work up over it for years. I was like, I just don't have it in me to do all that. So the whole just capturing the moment, resources, posting it, seeing where it goes, and kind of just going along for the journey. That's kind of that's what I'm trying to focus on. But I also think that you've got two ways, I guess, to make money through social media. One is obviously like viewership and monetization and stuff like that. Two is, I guess, what I'm maybe leaning more towards now is just hoping that you get put in front of the right eyes, so that that one person that sees the video, and they're an agent, and they're a guitarist that needs a drummer, or they're an artist that needs drums on their new album, they will message you and hire you, and all of a sudden that's worth more than having 10,000 followers.
You could have maybe you get followers, and one of those people could give you a gig that pays you £500 for a studio day.
And I can't nothing. Like, there's so many times where one video has just led to a conversation, and then I don't know, 3-4 more years later, they've come back and just been like, oh, do you want to do this? Do you want to cover me for some teaching, or do you want to do this gig? I remember you said you were in South Wales, so I thought of you. And they 9 times out of 10, I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm working, or I'm busy, or it's not for me, or it's a bit far, or whatever. But that's fine. But it's just over a period of time, you kind of build up those connections, and eventually, I like to hope that I get to a place where I'm like posting and it's generating work, even when it's not obvious that it's generating work, and trying to just be consistent, letting people know that you're out there doing it, without looking like you're too busy and all of that, which I know we've talked about before. I think the thing that I may be struggling with social media the most is knowing, like, if I were to streamline it and to try and make it into a goal, like, is there a certain type of content I should be doing? Because I find that when I try and put stuff out, I love the whole capturing the moment, journal style, doing it, but it's very random. It'll just be like a quick lesson, or a function gig, or a gig I went to and I saw a band play, or a new cymbal or gear, and it will kind of jump around, and then I'll look back at it and be like, what am I trying to what's this going to achieve? Like, am I trying to promote to a certain type of person? Do I want to be a certain type of drummer doing a certain type of work? Like, is it meant to be if I want to teach, I should be promoting teaching all the time. Or if I want to do the function thing, then maybe I need to be posting function videos all the time. And I have a resistance against like just doing one. So I sort of jump around a lot. But I'm like, again, I refuse to kind of play the game of just specializing in one, posting every day. You know, if you want to be a teacher, then you should be posting a lesson every day. Or if you want to be the sort of session drummer that does remote recordings, and you've got to do that every day. I'm like, oh, that sounds exhausting as well. So I don't know. I'm a bit stuck with it. But for now, I'm like, pretty chill with it. It's cool.
Harry, can you remember your question from 5 minutes ago?
Well, what I was going to that was I think you're spot on with that, Jay. I think it's a really hard balance, because I think, especially if you think like you and I do, it being a sort of scrapbook, but being that sort of calling card with the hope that people are going to see it or even reference it at a gig. You get on a gig with someone that you followed on socials for ages, and they might mention a video that you posted. That is, I guess, in some kind of way, a bit of validation, a bit of like, oh, great, oh yeah, cool, I follow you on socials, that video posted, that's sick, I love your grooves and so on, blah blah blah. Okay, cool, we have a bit of a connection here and so on. It's really interesting.
And the number of times, I was going to say, the number of times people have said, "Oh, I saw that video, it was great," but they didn't like it. But it gets seen by more people than have actually liked it. You
almost want like when YouTube removed the dislike button for ages. You almost want like that on Instagram. Like, just can't see your likes. Just put out there. I know JP Bouvet years ago, probably what I say years ago, 3-4 years ago maybe. He just unfollowed everybody, so he doesn't follow anyone, and he just posts. So he goes on his socials, posts it, job done, off the app. So never sees it. Which I thought, that's really clever. But what I was going to suggest was my question. I thought maybe we could do in the next episode. I think actually, kind of what you were just talking about there, Jay, I think leans itself to the question I was going to ask. But I think it could be a completely whole episode in itself, like a part 2. You might go, this is terrible, and I'll have to edit this out. But my thought was, how are you guys editing your content? Are we talking, your image, your branding, and so on? Like, how are we sort of presenting ourselves on our favored social media platform? I don't want to talk too much to that if that's something we maybe want to discuss, but I think there's quite a lot to dive into there.
Let's do a separate. But I think you no need to edit this out, Harry. That's a good idea, and we should.
Okay. There we go. The seal of approval. So okay, cool. Well,
I like it. There you go.
Yeah, I like it. Can you super like?
Yeah.
Give me 1,000 views.
I've double tapped that, Harry. I like it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, all right then. Well, if you've enjoyed this episode 56, tune in for episode 57, where we continue the conversation for the first time. The sequel.
Part 2.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks guys. I really enjoyed that actually.
There's
a lot to dive into.
Thoughts.
How do our listeners out there, how do they, if at all, I mean, hopefully if they're on Instagram, they're following us
individually.
Count Us In podcast, or our own individual profiles, that'd be great.
It's all in the description.
It's all in the description, yeah, it's all in
and
the
even branding and all that sort of stuff, and posting with the podcast, we could kind of, talk a little bit about that as well. Like, there's definitely been, I think if you go on our page now, there's definitely a big visual shift, consistency, and so on, that we've all sort of made a bit of an effort on the last 9 months, 10 months, whatever, last year, for sure. That I think, without sort of looking too much at the statistics, I think we could definitely say the podcast has benefited from. In terms of growth and viewership and so on.
I agree.
But do you want to do the usual closing rigmarole, Matt?
Rigmarole. I shall do the closing rigmarole. Yeah. So please give us a follow, and you can see us put some clips and reels up, which we'll see how they get on. At our handle at Count Us In podcast. And please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, because this episode will come out on air on podcasts, and then the following week it comes out on YouTube, so you can watch us talking and animate. And let's see if you can get through the whole episode as well, and give it a view and like and subscribe to that. And if you've liked what you've heard, or you've been entertained, or it's been food for thought, drop us a DM. But please comment on the reels, because that helps the engagement. It helps it get in front of other people. But yeah, you can also support us with a little donation at buymeacoffee.com/Count Us In podcast. And that will help us keep things moving and keep all this stuff going. We'd really appreciate it. Yeah. It is a rabbit hole of conversation, this one, isn't it? So it's a good call. Let's do a part 2. And great topic you brought up, Jay, and it's been really useful.
Really good stuff.
Somewhat cathartic as well.
Yeah. I'm going to go lie in bed and think about social media plan for the next month now.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Definitely.
All of us are going to be freaking out over our socials now.
I'm thinking about getting on a plane tomorrow. That's what I'm doing tomorrow.
Off.
So,
Switch off. Have a nice time.
Yeah.
Switch off your mobile phone devices.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Cracking chat again.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening, everyone.
That's cool.
Thanks, everyone, listening.
Nice.
Take care.
Catch you soon.